Hi, I'm Marc Stevens, author of Government Indicted, my website, marcstevens.net, the radio show, The No State Project, live every Saturday from 4 to 7 Eastern Standard Time on the Liberty Radio Network. And want to talk about police intimidation. This is what you get from police, and this is in Mesa, Arizona. I know. For years I've avoided having any direct confrontation with these people, especially in person, because they're so violent, and it's so close to where I live that I just avoid. They threatened my life before. I still bear the scars from having handcuffs on too tight. It was also the same officer who threatened to burn my car if I didn't get out of it, and they had the fire department there. But I went down, I walked it yesterday, figured I walked in with a camera and just asked if there was anyone available. You know, it's fortified, it's a police department, so I was in the lobby and they were behind glass and a steel door. And they had an ununiformed, plainclothes police officer come out, and he readily agreed that if you're physically in Arizona or Mesa, then the Constitution laws of the state apply and they have jurisdiction to enforce them. The problem started, of course, when he could not provide any actual proof. And I had asked him, well, you know, another question basically, how can you determine probable cause to even approach me on the street if you can't even prove the laws apply to me in the first place? So he got a little perturbed with that and said, sir, I'm not going to argue or debate this with you. And I said, whoa, first of all, don't falsely accuse me of things. I asked you a simple question. You either answer or you don't, but you don't have to accuse me of doing something that I'm not doing. He said, whoa, nobody accused you of anything. You just said you're not going to argue or debate with me. And it's just a flimsy political way to avoid a difficult question. If you don't want to answer, that's fine. So he grabs his wallet out of his pocket as he starts turning away and opening up the steel door. He says, "Sir, you wait right here. I'm going to get the guy, the people who can answer your question. You just stay right here." And I'm thinking, great. I've been threatened by these people, you know, a number of times already with contempt of cop. I think this is not good. So I figure, let me just get this guy's name and get the hell out of here. So I I go up to the glass again, and the woman looks nervous, and I ask, what was the name of the officer? See, her name was Carla. I got that later. So Carla looks very nervous, and she says she's not sure of his name, even though he's standing right in front of her table, her desk there. She says, but you just sit down. They'll be right out. Thinking, yeah, right. So I grab my camera, and I decide I'm going to get out of here. Well, they were not done with me. If they couldn't arrest me for contempt of cop in the building, they certainly were going to do something else to intimidate me. So I, unfortunately, even though I was fairly certain that I was going to be stalked or followed and probably assaulted by these guys, I didn't get my camera out fast enough. So not to give them an excuse or any kind of pretext to stop me, I made sure that when I crossed the street, I did so at the light and in the crosswalk. Well, as I get across the street, right out of the parking lot has come Mesa PD from their station there where I just left, and they're in the SUV. You'll see in the video, and they turn the corner and drive past me slow. So I get the camera on, and what they did was they went up the street and they parked on a corner. You know, they made a right, then they turned around, parked on a corner, and sat there watching me. Now, I know you may be saying, how the hell do you know that he was watching you? Because if you watch the footage in the rest of this video, you'll see. I filmed it. I filmed him, following me through the neighborhood. And so at one point near the end, I'm waving to him, and he can see that I have the camera, and other people are starting to join me. And so he decided to turn around, and I had not seen him again. And I was able to get home without them finding out where I live, which is nice, especially when you've got such a flimsy intimidation tactic. So I call later and find out why. Now, I believe that the reason why they did that was because someone had the temerity to walk into a police department and ask them questions they couldn't answer, especially when it's based on things that they do every single day. They are willing to separate you from your family violently or as violently as necessary on the pretext that their laws apply to you and me, but they don't have a shred of evidence to actually prove it. And the lieutenant I spoke to later also admittedly did not have the evidence and spoke on behalf of his officers that they're not qualified to make such determinations. But how the hell do you determine probable cause if you can't determine the laws apply in the first place? So then the natural thing to do is just stalk the journalist. So what they told me later was that I was actually considered a threat to officer safety. Let that sink in. I was a threat to officer safety. They imagined that I was somehow, even though I said I was from the media and I just asked a question of evidence, that for some reason I was a threat to officer safety, maybe casing the joint, maybe looking to attack them because I was a sovereign citizen. Well, I had to tell him, and I've done this on the show, I am neither sovereign and I am definitely not a citizen. And he thought it was a logical connection to fear for their life, thinking I was a sovereign citizen because I asked questions they couldn't answer. I asked a question, and they could not prove their laws applied to me. And I'm standing in the police department, and they still couldn't. So I said, no, it seems to me it's extraordinarily paranoid to think that if I ask you a question, that I must belong to some paramilitary group. I said, no, I don't see the connection. I'm neither a sovereign nor a citizen. It was ridiculous. I said, do you normally send out and stalk a member of the media because they decided they weren't going to wait around for someone to join them in the lobby? So he kind of got snarky with me and said, look, if you were a legitimate member of the media, you would have known better and went through our PIO, the Public Information Officer. I said, actually, because I'm an experienced journalist, I know that I usually will not waste my time going through your PIO because they run interference. And I told him, and anyone who's listened to the show knows, the only reason why Alan Rodbell, the Scottsdale police chief, got on the phone with me was because the city manager intervened. Otherwise, he wouldn't return a phone call because their PIO, their media reps, wouldn't return a call. So by going through the PIO, you're not going to get anywhere. But bottom line, you watch the video, you'll see that he was clearly following me. And it was just an intimidation tactic by a bunch of bullies who can't prove that the laws that they enforce, that they apply to peaceful people every single day, actually apply to them. And if anyone disagrees that there is actually evidence to prove that just because I'm physically in Arizona, that the Constitution and laws of the state of Arizona apply to me, you are more than welcome to ambush me on a live broadcast of the No State Project. I look forward to it. You guys are so obvious. Ask a few questions you can't answer, so now you're going to start to stalk me. And here it comes. I'm not too keen on this, but it's not a surprise. Use the intimidation. They wanted me to wait in the station. Kept on putting me off, so I figured it was probably best to get out of there. They want to arrest me. So, now they've sent somebody to follow me. This should be interesting. The agent that couldn't answer the question about evidence will get the other way. Wouldn't give me his name. Maybe that was in the past. They realized I wasn't any kind of threat. But we shall see. Keep the camera out and ready. Well, they just drove by that way. I didn't get the camera on fast enough, but they're definitely, it looks like they're looking for me. So we'll just keep walking and see when he makes his appearance. And a bunch of cowardly bastards. Well, there he is. There he is. See if he comes down the street. Well, we may have footage of each other now. He's just sitting there. It's him in the white behind the other minivan. Well, we'll see. Make your crime. Create something. That's the corner I was just standing at, taking the last footage. And he hasn't come around the corner yet. Actually, there he is. There he is. There he is. Yep, take it nice and slow. Yep, that's him. Oh, well, you can't see me. I'm gonna turn around. Now create your crime here today. No evidence, so you stalk me, you jerks. That's Mesa PD for you. Ask a question they can't answer and they stalk you. You gotta create the crime. Maybe it's disorderly conduct. Well, he's been stalking me since I left the precinct. So,
oh, the policeman stopped you?
Yeah, that's the cop right down there. He hasn't stopped me. I went down there to ask some questions as a member of the media, and they didn't like it. So what they did was they wanted me to stay. And this is not well. They're going to pull a contempt of cop on me. Ah, he left. Oh, he's oh. Yeah, turn around.